I want to give a shout out to our good friend Bill Maher for being honest when he said that abortion is a kind of murder that he's okay with because there's too many people on the planet. Well, if you listen to my previous segment, you would know that there's not too many people on the planet. There's actually too few. It's really just relative, and population collapse is bad. But this is actually fascinating. This was a big story of the weekend from Friday when Bill Maher said that abortion was murder. I'm sure the left will not be too happy with that, but Bill Maher's right. He's right. His opinions are, I believe, morally repugnant, but I know that there's a bunch of pro-lifers who will say, so are mine, but at least I've always admitted abortion is killing a baby, hands down, period. I don't want to get into we'll get into the moral arguments, I suppose, in a second, but here's the story from Real Clear Politics. Bill Maher addressed abortion in this week's edition of Real Time. Quote, that's why I don't understand the 15. You know what? Let's just play the clip.
Not if you believe it's murder. You know, that's why I don't understand the 15-week thing. Or the Trump's plan is, let's leave it to the states. You mean, so killing babies is okay in some states? Like, I can respect the absolutist position. I really can. I scold the left on when they say, oh, you know what? They just hate women. People who aren't pro-life, pro-choice, they don't hate women. They just made that up. They think it's murder. And it kind of is. I'm just okay with that. I am. I mean, there's 8 billion people in the world. I'm sorry, we won't miss you. That's my position on it.
Wow.
That's quite harsh, Bill.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not
Is
sure
that not your position if you're pro-choice?
Isn't that mainly because you don't like children? I mean...
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
no. I mean, but if you are, you said you're pro-choice. That's your position too.
Wow. That's amazing. Certainly it is not my position. And he says, that's why I don't understand the 15-week thing or Trump's plan to leave it to the states. Killing a baby is okay in some states. I got to agree. I absolutely agree with Bill Maher on that point. I don't think killing the baby is okay, however. I just think we have an impossible moral standard. So I'll give you my thoughts. And please comment below and explain why I'm wrong. But I've had this conversation numerous times, and the challenge always comes down to the limits of government. And I've heard all of the arguments, but there's not really a good answer. There's no real good answer. Of course, good friend of the show, Seamus Coughlin, pro-life, says abortion in any circumstances should be abolished and banned nationwide. My issue is, while we are dealing with a strong moral issue, there is a limitation of government in demanding that someone provide their body to another person. I've never been given an argument against this. The best argument is mitigation. Seamus, for instance, and many other pro-lifers say it is but 9 months the woman has to endure sharing her body, and it is death for the other person. I do not agree, as that's a very utilitarian response. I don't believe the government should be allowed to take immoral actions against an individual. Of course, the response to that is, then allowing a doctor to kill a baby is an immoral action against an individual. But this still misses the general idea of the point. First, we'll criticize Bill Maher when he says he's okay with that. That is insane. I'm not okay with abortion. I think abortion is wrong. But I think the challenge is this. We have questions that have not been answered at the Supreme Court level, which must be, and that is of the 14th Amendment, which I bring up quite a bit, and I will bring up again now to make sure everyone understands there is a legal consideration here that has not been answered. The 14th Amendment says in Section 1, clause, the second half of the clause, they say, no state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States. Pause. Unborn babies are not citizens. It says all persons born or naturalized in the U.S. and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens. Okay, well, the unborn are not citizens. However, it says, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protections of the laws. Case in point, Supreme Court needs to answer the question, are babies persons? That's it. I don't understand why at 8 months gestation, when the baby can survive on its own outside the mother, it still has no citizenship or personhood, despite the fact that you could just choose to remove it. So the question of personhood at citizenship at birth is wrong, and I don't believe it should be the standard. But right now, this question must be answered. This could solve a lot of the problems, probably make them worse in a lot of ways, but still get us closer to where our morality stands. Now, my position on abortion is it is killing a baby. It is wrong. But the state cannot mandate a person give their body to another person. That being said, if a woman chooses to engage in behavior in which she allows another person to inhabit her body, you cannot evict said person. I'll put it this way. You offer to provide a blood transfusion to another person. Halfway through, you say, no, you know what? I've changed my mind. I don't want to do this. Cut them off. Whoa, whoa, whoa. At this point, that will kill the other person. You can't do that. You consented to this. The question of consent then comes up. A woman is raped. I don't know how incest plays a role in this and why conservatives are defending incest in this position. I certainly understand incest results in defects and can be problems, but if two individuals consent, why kill the baby? In the instance of rape, you end up with a woman who did not consent to share her body with anyone, and the state, I do not believe, has the right to mandate she do. Many people then say, but the baby is innocent, and it's the adult father who should get the death penalty, not the baby, and that has nothing to do with my argument. My argument is the state cannot mandate you give your body to someone else for any amount of time, period. Only in a circumstance where you consent. Of course, many then say, yeah, well, that means that women will just claim they were raped. So be it. Just because someone might do something bad after the fact doesn't mean we allow the government to take immoral actions against other people. And there is no argument anyone can give me where you would get me to believe the state can enforce a person without their consent, provide their body to another person. I will not ever accept a circumstance in which the government goes to someone and say, your body is now property of this person for a set amount of time. Never going to happen. I will never support that. I would never stand by it. That is shockingly evil and outrageous. I think killing babies is wrong. I think abortion is bad. But the idea that we would sanction the government to mandate one person's body to another, Ron Paul had it right. Abortion should not be illegal. It should be unthinkable. And so what should happen is we need culture, not government. We want a world where the woman says, my deeply held moral beliefs are that the baby shall not die or suffer, and the government need not intervene. But the government, like solving the problem of morality through government mandate by force, to me is insane. That being said, Bill Maher is also insane. I'm just okay with it. I'm not okay with any of it. But, look, I think about how I would feel if without my consent, someone else forced someone into my body. And then the government said, too bad, you don't get a say. I'd say, oh yeah, you're damn wrong. I do get a say. And there's nothing you can do about it. So again, many people say, but it's the rapist who should get the penalty, not the baby. Well, then why would you penalize the mother in any way as well? Look, if someone came to you, knocked you unconscious, and when you woke up, your blood was strapped to another person, you're surrounded by cops, and they're like, look, this evil man connected you guys by blood, and if we cut the blood off, this person will die. The state hereby declares you must share your body with this person from now on. No, never going to happen. I won't accept that. I'd say no. Sorry for that guy, but that's not my fault. But if you consent to the procedure, then no. This is you agreed. Man, Bill Maher's argument is absolutely nuts. It's crazy that we live in this world. It really, really is. But I'm glad he's admitting it. One of the big issues with the question of abortion is that the left doesn't want to admit they're for killing babies. I am not for killing babies. The problem is I am not for the government mandating one person give their body to another person. I am not for the idea that a person without their consent for any amount of time would have to provide their body to another person without their consent. This is not happening. The state, no way. So it's a rock and a hard place. And then there's an eviction of it's I get it. The baby will die. And there's a lot of problems around it, but that's just it. I don't blame the baby, but still, it's not my problem. It was a crime committed against me, and I'm not responsible for this. We need a culture that doesn't allow it, not laws. You want to solve this problem, you need culture. This is a step in the right direction, though. The liberals like to say, it's not a baby, it's a fetus, it's not alive. Vosh said something like I said, when he was on the show, this is years ago, when is a baby alive? And he goes, sometime after birth. That's ridiculous. Sometime after birth, two babies are identical, gestated both at 8 months. One is removed by C-section, alive, healthy, and fine. The other is still in the womb. One's a human and one's not. That's an absurdity. Getting liberals to admit they think it's murder is step one. And now they're going to have to contend with the fact that they're pro-murder. They're talking about circumstances in which they can electively choose after consenting to terminate the life. I think that's wrong. I don't have good answers for you, however. I really don't. Perhaps, according to the 14th Amendment, the simple answer is abortion with due process. Meaning if a woman wants to get an abortion, she has to go to court and say, I did not consent to this, and then prove it. That may be harsh, and I'm not sure that's the best circumstance. I'm saying I don't know what the best answer is, but the Supreme Court is going to have to answer that question. Because Bill Maher is right about one thing. The idea that you would recognize this as baby murder, but then think that a state can decide when a baby should be allowed to be murdered makes literally no sense. None. But I'll leave it there. Not like I'm going to have any good answers for you. Next segment's coming up at 8 p.m. over at youtube.com/TimcastIRL. Check out the show live tonight, and we'll see y'all then.